Hello everyone, my name is Robert Leonardo. I'm reporting for DevC 206 Module 10 Section B. This is the continuation of the principles of clear and effective writing for radio, specifically for Principle 3 and 4. Aim for clarity, put action into your sentences. Now let's start with aim for clarity. By clarity, we mean the choices of words we use and the way we convey our message in a concise and accurate manner. Now let's talk about choices of words. We may be tempted to display eloquence and level of experience with so many jargons and buzzwords, but remember that on the radio, our aim is mass communication. If our objective is specifically to reach out to the masses or the grassroots, especially for development communication purposes, then the more we should use simple language with familiar words. Remember using plain language and familiar words. It is easier to be audible. Even for the speaker himself, it is easier to pronounce the words. This makes communication clear without our audience having to think or pause to decipher what was said. Furthermore, on radio, listeners cannot get back to what was said, and so it is really very important to say things clearly and with familiar words. Here are a few examples of words that are uncommon to the ordinary man. The corresponding words pointed by the arrow are suggested alternatives that are simple, easy to understand, and commonly used in our day-to-day conversations. Take a few seconds to take a look at them. I commonly hear this on television or sometimes read in publications. Cacophony. That is rather a heavy word, but actually it just means noise. Benevolent may sound common, but it can still bring air of intimidation when you use it instead of kind. Convoluted is a common word. No, I hear this in political comments, but it just actually means complicated. Now, here is another set of examples. Mitigating is also commonly used, but do we really understand what it implied? We see other big words here, juxtaposed, nefarious, and ostentatious. Giving you a glimpse of another set of examples for your appreciation. Another point we'd like to make is to repeat important messages. If you're familiar with some marketing strategies and some government programs, which others would also call government propaganda, repetition is a strategy to enforce a campaign or words in the memory of the audience. Studies have proven that credibility of a statement increases if it is repeated. However, there is a point of saturation when it weakens and reverses the effect if the repetition is too much. Repetition in a conscious way becomes a nudge to the audience to remember the words or do something, or it's like a call to action. When it becomes too much, the audience can either be annoyed on the repetition. Another point is to eliminate excess and unnecessary words that make statements long. This is a very common mistake, and many of us are guilty of this. Perhaps we picked up the error somewhere and started using the same verbiage. Here are examples. These examples are redundant words that are unnecessary because they describe already what they describe already say what it is. For example, we know that purple is a color, therefore, or violet is a color, therefore it is used in a sentence as it is. And it is sufficient to refer to violet without having to say it's a color. Likewise with history, it is already past, and therefore to say past history is redundant. Now let me go further into detail by pinpointing the types of unnecessary words. First is dummy subjects. This happens when we use words that do not have meaning in the sentence and can be taken away without affecting the thought of the statement. In this example, there are is unnecessary, and the sentence can be improved by putting it in the active voice. So as you can see, it's easier to understand Laguna has many great resorts, and it even sounds lighter and easier to understand. Another type is nominalization. It is the use of words with nouns created from adjectives or verbs. For example, decision is the nominalization of decide. Doing this can make the sentence look or sound lengthy or confusing to follow. In this example, it is better to use deciding to relocate to a different state is, is difficult, rather than the decision to relocate to a different state can be fraught with difficulties. Why? Because there are few group of words that are coming from the whole sentence and it's too long and sometimes the listeners can be lost in those words. Another type is circumlocutions. This is the tendency to use roundabout expressions where every part of the statement is prolonged and we end up with a long statement. Listen to this. Owing to the fact that at the present time it is necessary to maintain the well-being of everyone, each person has the obligation to wash their hands subsequent to bathroom use. It's a very long sentence, wordy, and there are a group of words in the sentence that you have to understand before going to the next one, and it can become confusing. So, to be concise, it was easier with this example. In order to maintain everyone's well being, each person must wash their hands after using the bathroom. Plain and simple. Moving to another point, clarity also means accuracy and precision. This is one way of doing this is using a measurable descriptor instead of vague terms such as big or good. Note that we are on the radio and the audience only uses their ears. Accuracy and precision is essential to make it easy to picture what is being described. Now, quick point on avoiding abbreviations for the next point. We may forget that although we try to be less formal on radio, abbreviating is not proper since it is only good for written texts and do not apply to spoken words. Abbreviation like Lieutenant Colonel cannot be spoken as LT Col, as it is never acceptable in practice. Likewise, Reverend Father will not be Rev Far, or let's say in the case of the name of a university, you don't call Ateneo de Manila University as ADMU. This is true for established acronyms. One cannot just immediately say particular abbreviation without any context. The easiest way to establish this is by mentioning the actual full words initially before repeating the same words in the abbreviation. Example is University of the Philippines. It is a well-known acronym, UP, but in the beginning, to give the context, we always begin by naming it or mentioning the full name, University of the Philippines, and then later on, just mention UP. This is in the case of well-accepted acronyms such as UP. Similar to written forms, we express certain institutions in full and later on use the short form. For example, in the likes of Ateneo de Manila University, it is not common to use ADMU, so the more common short name is used such as Ateneo. Now let's go to the principle number 4. Put action into your sentences. When it comes to this principle, the use of active verbs is most basic because this form is easier to understand since we use it in a natural way in our day-to-day conversations. In the active voice, The subject performs the action, such as in this example. This creates excitement and action, makes sentences short but alive. To recap my report, to be able to have a clear and effective writing for radio, aim for clarity. Choose the right words, make it succinct and accurate. Use the active voice to make it sound alive. All these make it easy for listeners to comprehend the script, easy to follow, and help in engaging them throughout the program. That would be all for my topic. Thank you for your time. I have posted in the forum my lead questions. I look forward to a lively and interesting discussion.